moral of the story is if you don't pay your Sangoma, you get sick. That's your witch doctor in South Africa. That was what I was going to say. Pierre didn't pay his Sangoma. It's kind of a joke if you've ever been there. Obviously, you've never lived there, but that's like your local witch doctor will be a Sangoma, and then you'll have like a herbalist, and I want to say that's like the Inyanga, I think, is the herbalist that will prescribe you some herbs and whatnot to cure your sickness. Obviously, none of that shit works, but it's it's local tradition, Well, I mean,
whatever works.
Fisherman's Choice. Are they cough drops? Fisherman's Choice, I think is what it's called, or I don't know if you ever even heard of those.
You mean the
Fisherman's Friend. You can't get those. You can't get those here in America at all. Or the is it chlorocetin tablets, like the little cough drops that like make your throat numb? So you can't get those here, or you can, but they have to be by prescription. But like when I was overseas, you'd go to the pharmacy and they could just sell them to you across the counter. Like you can't do that because I think they contain like codeine or something. Like so, it's like which is a controlled substance here.
Something.
It is. Yeah. Man, a weekend of rugby. Obviously, we know who the finalists are for the URC now. I think
for sure.
Luckily, because it's a European-based competition, the social medias run very well. So there's a nice little highlight bit that we can run through, and we'll kind of run through that and talk about each game, if that's all right with you, Colin.
100%,
all right, man. So let me go ahead and share the screen here, and we'll watch these highlights from the first game. Here we go.
Back in 2022, 76-14 as Leinster had 12 tries in a dominant performance. Leinster favourites today, but favourites under pressure.
First thing to say is there's only 11,500
Really good defensive set so far from the Warriors.
Vantage.
Tony O'Brien steps in. Conan now.
It looked like there was like hardly anybody even at the game. Like they had the entire upper deck shut down, and look at that. That is the man. I'm telling you, Dan Sheehan is a different beast.
Yeah.
With strong midfield defense.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I would definitely pick him over Malcolm Marks at the moment.
It's Kyle Rowe up and running the kick back.
And I want to say, this was like the only highlight for Glasgow the entire game. Was this strike.
Pretty much.
Work hard. Advantage.
Going at the back, Leinster with advantage. Gibson Park. On by
felt like if Glasgow keep in touch by half time, then they had a chance, but they let them get 20 points ahead.
And you're never getting back on top with that.
So Leinster by 10 points to 5.
Never.
They
were actually pretty good defensively in this game. Leinster.
Leinster have it back again, and now the kick and chase. Tommy O'Brien. Time to a break for Gibson Park.
Fucking Gibson Park, man. He is everywhere he needs to be.
Forward pass by number 9 blue.
So we're checking a possible forward pass.
Yeah, that was a forward pass. Was it PRD? Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that has to be forward.
It's definitely a forward pass.
So we disallow the try, we can make a scrum, the Glasgow ball.
So for the second time in the half, Leinster with a try ruled out. Gibson Park.
You know that Jack Conan is the only recognised number 8 that's going on.
Yeah. It's really weird because usually you'll have 2 or 3 options, but they took one.
Stunning try from Leinster.
The rest are just going to be converted.
Yeah. And she just I gotta rewind that part right there, man.
Yeah.
Like the move to throw the line out, run out the back immediately, receive the ball back. Like, you have to have mobility skills to do that. Like, I'm sorry, like Bongi Manombi, and like he doesn't have that kind of mobility to just roll out of the back. Like, that was, like I said, Dan Sheehan is on another level. The speed that he has is just unbeatable right now. And a move like that was like, when I saw that happen, I was like, holy shit, that's a hooker. Running out of the back like that, like just the into the air, back to you, and obviously it led to a try, but like that's why when people don't like, we've talked about this, Dan Sheehan, that's special right there, man.
For sure. He's a great player. He's definitely a great player. I mean, that was a strike play. That's like something that came from the Irish playbook. We can do that. We usually do that at least twice a year.
So, with that being said, obviously, there's no question Leinster deserved to win that game. Like, they were clearly the better team. There was no controversy around this and that. Leinster deserved to win. Like, period. Yeah.
Beat down.
With that being said, it's almost as if like they kind of took their foot off the gas for the last like 25 minutes of the game. Obviously, they didn't give up much or anything like that, but like you're gonna have to play a full 80, and I can't say that we've seen that very often from Leinster this year, playing a full 80.
I agree. Like we do have to temper. Like, I mean, there's going to be no issues with either of us tempering applause for Leinster in general, but we will have to temper it with the caveat that this was a very depleted Glasgow team, but also like it showed Glasgow for what they are. They're quite a thin squad in certain positions.
Very much.
Front.
Very much.
They're very thin. Yeah. You know, you take one or two guys out of that pack, and all of a sudden they don't ever have the momentum that they need to do damage, you know. And like you've got to take that into account as well. You know, the Bulls are going to offer something different.
Yeah, we'll get to the highlights of that in a minute. Definitely, like I said, it's going to be a good final. I can safely say that, like, yes, it's the two best teams that made it to the final. It's not a team that got lucky or whatever. But after my statements on TikTok, I did not realize the finals at Croke Park, where they have never lost.
Yeah.
So history is on the side of Leinster for this one, obviously. That's going to sell out, right? That game's going to sell out. Like 82,000. Something that we're a bit unique with here in the U.S., and I mean they do it in the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, is neutral ground finals. Do you think they should do that for the URC?
Yeah, I mean, like without knowing the level of work that goes into preparing for a grand final, and you know, considering like. Yeah, I suppose like you have to take into account all the schedules and stuff. Like I don't think you kind of have the option. You know, I don't like to leave it until semi-final stage and then confirm.
Well, no, but I think like maybe at the beginning of the season you announce like, okay, the grand final will happen at this venue at this date. I know, like, because that way we're not having grand finals in small stadiums. Like you pick the biggest venues for your grand final. And kind of like I say here, like the Super Bowl is always at a neutral site, and you make plans to go, and you buy tickets and airfare and accommodations and everything. And I think it would be good, but like then again, it's like you do it on a rotating place. Like obviously, Croke Park would be Ireland's biggest stadium they could use. I don't know anything about
Yeah.
Scottish stadiums. I don't know if BT Murrayfield is the biggest stadium.
Well, just to give you context, like Croke Park is the third largest stadium of
Yeah.
any kind in
Yeah.
any sport in Europe. So for the URC, they would have gone, yes, please,
Yeah.
if we can fill
Well,
it.
I mean,
you know,
you do it in like rotating places. Because like obviously we know where it would be in Wales.
Yeah.
It would be at is that Millennium Stadium? That's their biggest stadium.
Yeah.
South Africa
Cardiff, yeah.
would probably rotate between the 4 stadiums, but like, you know, like I said, no disrespect, like cool, Croke Park, it's a great venue, but I think what if we could make sure that happens every single year? Like it's in the biggest venue and it sells out. Like that's because you got to think on TV,
Yeah.
it's going to look good. The revenue that's going to be produced for that local area, because you're going to have hotels, all the bars and restaurants are going to be full. You make it an event.
Yeah.
You make it an event. Now, I'm not saying bring in halftime shows or anything like that, but like you make it a spectacle. You make a grand finals a spectacle. You know,
the internal joke in Ireland would be, so Dublin 4, like D4 is there.
Mhm.
That's the south side of Dublin, and Croke Park is on the north side. So for a lot of these guys, it'd be their first trip on the other side of
Tracks
the
on
river.
the other side of the
That's
town.
joke. They're going to be slumming it out on the north
Well,
side of the river.
I remember the first time I even heard the name Croke Park, and I was like, where is it? And they were like, oh, it's X amount of kilometers from Aviva.
Yeah.
And I look at it on a map, and it's like, okay, it's easy to get to. Like, it's not like it's a difficult venue to negotiate getting to. It's just, it's really weird to see it, especially on Google Maps, because it's, especially if you grow up outside of Ireland, like that's like a normal stadium in most countries, and like in Ireland, it's massive compared. Like when you look at it from Google Earth, you can see it. Like you can see it. It's like, wow, that is a huge stadium, and obviously it's used for GAA games, and I would hope that it also sells out for those as well. Like, is it?
It does at like a quarter, semi-final, and final stage for both sports. So it'll sell out maybe between 8 to 10 times a year.
That's good. That's good ticket sales. So that's good revenue. And like, how old is that stadium?
Ooh, that's serious history involved in that stadium. Like there's been a stadium of some form there since
the
1800s, or sorry, 18 kind of the 19th century.
Wow.
You know,
so Eddie Jones might have played a little bit in that stadium. Yeah,
he may well have. Yeah, he might have got kicked out of the place once or twice.
But it's going to be a great venue. Obviously, the final will always look well, especially if it's a sellout event. Now we've got to look into the next game that happened this weekend. You said you were watching the highlights a moment ago.
Yeah. Looking out for Jaden Hendricks there, yeah.
Clip yet. I am hoping it shows one particular thing that happened that I'm sure a lot of Irish fans were cheering, and I laughed my ass. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, but we will show it now.
Jordan Hendrickson launches in to get this semi-final underway.
Norkia, and yeah, like right off the kickoff.
Sebastian de Klerk on his way down the touchline.
He had a day. De Klerk had a real day.
Good aggressive work at the breakdown by the Bulls. Now
look at the shooter from the Sharks playing high blitz.
It's a blitz at scrum time from the Vodacom Bulls. A heel against the head.
This got reversed because I think he was offside.
It's going to be a no try. The back line is all offside.
Yeah, it was offside. There were a lot of bad comments about Andrew Grace yesterday online, and I have a tendency to agree a bit.
Changing the targets altogether. Ambrose Papier is rapid. He's through. One over the top for Sebastian de Klerk. He's got support. De Klerk cutting. De Klerk is over.
Jesus, that was soft. That was so soft. Look, How many guys are actually
exactly.
touching this?
Like just that was something that I was kind of having a chat with a buddy of mine who's a Durban guy. He's a Sharks fan, and it was just like, God damn, like our defense is Swiss cheese. Like we have no defense.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Oh, let's do an instant replay on that because I even thought it was hilarious.
Instant replay. The big wink gate.
We'll
get some closure on wink gate. Here it is.
Yeah, that was.
Boom.
He actually kicked a conversion later in the game, and the exact same thing happened.
Really?
Like he busted his ass after the kick, but he actually made it. But he busted his ass after the kick. He might need to get some more boots. Like, what the hell was that? Like,
yeah. I think he intentionally threw it off the pair, the Bulls pair. But yeah. Anyway,
it's
Jaden is certainly not going to be. Well, he's claimed his moniker of being the bad boy villain of the story, so he's going to have to live with it.
So somebody had brought up, do we see him playing in the Babas game? I don't even think he plays in the Babas game, to be honest with you. I just don't see it happening. Because right now, I think it's Grant Williams is probably 1. I would probably put Mornay Vandenberg at 2, and then Jaden would probably be 3. Or actually, hold on, I gotta look up something here, man. I don't even know if he got named to the squad. Because I think, actually, to be honest with you, I think there's going to be somebody even named ahead of them. I don't know if he even got picked, though. I will have to look here. Actually, I'll tell you who's going to play against the Babas. It's going to be Kobus Reinek and Mornay Vandenberg.
Yeah, Reinek is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's old. He's 35. Like, he's not making it to the next World Cup, but it's going to be... Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like in the middle of it because I am a South African rugby supporter, but like that whole situation in that game last week, I still thought like they could have handled that much, much better than they did. And I think the silence from Hendrikse hasn't helped. Like if he had come out afterwards and said, "Hey, this is what happened. Like, there was no malicious intent. I'm sorry if you took it that way." But he has said nothing, and it's like he's almost fed into it.
Did you hear? Like, there's a tape of the referee's audio. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't. What is being said?
So Jaden is goading Crowley. He's calling him you're a 40% kicker, which is like not that big a deal. Like it isn't a big deal. None of it is a big deal really. The only thing that was a big deal, and in fairness, like I was listening to Victor Matfield talking about it as well, and like he freely admitted, listen, he could have moved 20 feet.
That's like my thing. Like I get it, you're hurt, but like if you're not gonna move, like let the ref come and say, "Hey, step aside. We need to clear this first.
Yeah, we need to get this guy off the field. Let's get a stretcher."
You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna have you stand 10 feet from him. Like, hey, this guy's hurt. You know. Everybody go, we'll call time for a moment. We'll get this guy off the field. And I wouldn't have had a problem with that. It would have been like, I wouldn't have felt like he was trying to ice the kicker that way. It would have been like, look, he's hurt. But the way that the ref handled it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah. And that's what made it so controversial, was that it was just handled terribly.
He just kind of didn't really command any authority in the situation at all. He just allowed, the Sharks, player and staff who were obviously trying to, they're trying to do the best for their team, whatever. I almost don't blame them. It's really because I've heard what was said, it wasn't that bad. The only issue was the proximity to the kicker, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
I would have, like I said, if I had been the referee, I would have told Crowley, "Hey, can you go back to your side of the field for a moment? Like, you'll have time. You'll have time to get warmed up. Just We need to get this guy off the field.
But what he actually said to Crowley, and I think this is, again, this was he says to Crowley, "Oh, you'll have time, just give us time to deal with this." And Crowley's like, "I can go right now. I can go. I can go right now.
I can kick with you standing next to me. I'll still
no problem.
Yeah,
let's do it." Like you can actually see it on the video. He's like, "I can do it right now." He shakes his head, and that's, I think, the part where kind of Crowley started really getting pissed off. Is like,
let me make my fucking kick. Let me do my shit. Yeah,
let me do it. I'm here. Do you know what I mean? Don't make me wait 5 minutes to take a kick. Or what the hell are you doing? It's not as if it's like the first 5 minutes of the game. This is, everything's hanging on this. Don't make me wait. But anyway, look, that incident is over. It's over until the Sharks play Munster again. But
the Bulls obviously absolutely just beat the absolute shit out of the Sharks. Like, it really wasn't even close. And now the reality of it. Can the Bulls beat Leinster?
I think so, yeah.
I obviously on TikTok, I go after the Leinster crowd because it's what do they call it? Is that low hanging fruit? Is always the easiest to pluck from the tree because there's so many of them. It's such a huge mass of their fans online.
They're not difficult to rage bait, in fairness.
No, it's very easy to piss off a Leinster fan. Very, very easy to piss off a Leinster. I mean, I had an inbox full of messages from them this morning. I'll say this, I don't think the Sharks could beat them, but the Bulls have the potential and the capability. But it's going to take a supreme effort. Having 3 yellow cards in the first half against Leinster, you're fucking done. There's no fucking way. It's going to be a very, very Irish crowd, 82,000. I don't even know what the weather is going to be like, because take in mind it's supposed to be snowing this week in South Africa. So
it certainly won't be like that in Ireland. It'll be low 20s, I'd say.
Will it be overcast and low 20s?
Probably overcast, bro. It'd be kind of like, it's like one of these ones where you're watching the game and you're like, is there something wrong with my TV? Do I need to turn up the brightness? Like, what the hell is going on here?
Why is it so dark?
What's going on? Like, is there something wrong with the cameras? You're going on Twitter about it.
I still think one of the best videos I ever got, we've talked about Zara before on here. She was at a game at, what's the one in Cork? Is that that's Musgrave, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she was at Musgrave Park, and it was like it was raining sideways.
Yeah. That happens a lot, yeah.
I think the final score of the game was like 9-3. There were no tries scored, and like the penalties were the ones that were kicked right in front of the post, because it was one of those games when you do a line out and the ball would sail a meter back because it was just so windy and so rainy. And I remember asking her, I'm like, where are you standing? And she's like, well, you'd go up into the tunnel to like get out of the rain, but then she would come out to get photos. And I was like, is that common? And she's like, yeah, it's Ireland, man. It rains a lot here. Like,
over 200 days a year, yeah.
So it's crazy. Like, it's the Washington of Europe. It's just rainy and cloudy and just, it's green, so you have to have water for that. But it's going to definitely be a bit different. Obviously, coming from elevation in Pretoria, great crowd at Loftus. I think it was 47,000, I think, showed up for it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tall task, because, I mean, Leinster,
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, it's Leinster, a great team, but like, I mean, in terms of the occasion, like the stadium and everything, like, honestly, I think these guys I mean, they play in big stadiums regularly enough. Like, it's going to be a hostile stadium, that's fine. But listen, you win 1 or 2 scrum penalties, all of a sudden that crowd quietens down, and believe me, there ain't nothing like a Leinster crowd to just shut up all of a sudden. They stop cheering pretty quick. They turn on their team pretty quickly.
Well, it also seems that like Leinster, I've heard this complaints from some of the younger fans that it's like it's a very corporate crowd at times too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of guys that like they got tickets from their job, and
Yeah.
it's something they complain about because it's like these aren't real rugby fans. But in the same respects, when you see a Leinster crowd, you see a lot of people in blue jerseys, man. Like those people are die hard. The fans that are fans are die hard.
Yeah.
But it just does, it really kind of seems like it's a lot of people that are just there to be there. Like it's not it's not particularly it's like going to an LA Lakers game. That entire front row, those are celebrities. They're just there to be on camera more than anything,
Just to be seen, to be there.
Yeah. I mean,
but the hospitality at these games is pretty good. I mean, I'm not really sure what the answer to all that is, because at the end of the day, like there's two routes to get tickets. I'm not sure how it works in South Africa or anywhere else, but in Ireland, if it's a hot game, there's two routes to get tickets. So the tickets get disseminated through like their clubs. So if you're affiliated with an AIL club, then you're going to have access to tickets. That's one of the reasons why people keep their affiliations. Also then as well, if you're connected with a sponsor or your work or something like that, you can get tickets in that way as well. And then if you are one of the sponsors, you're probably going to get a box, but
yeah,
those are kind of it. Most of those tickets don't go on general sale. Like sometimes they do. Just say, for instance, if there's a big allocation given to the Bulls and the Bulls say, we can't really sell those tickets, then a lot of those tickets will go on general sale and the Leinster people will get those tickets. But so it's kind of up to you how many people you can bring, however, it's a long distance though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because you'd have to go from Pretoria to Johannesburg, which is Tambo, and then Tambo I think would fly direct into, I don't know if they fly direct to Dublin from Tambo or not. Actually, let me look that up.
Maybe London first, maybe. That'd be an awful journey. Oh my God.
It's. Let me see if they've even got it. Wow, surprisingly, one-way tickets are about $700 which is going to be extremely expensive for a South African, but it's saying anywhere between 14 and a half and up to 19 hours, just depending on who you connect with.
Holy shit.
So, like I know when we've looked at traveling back, we can do Dallas to Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta flies direct to Johannesburg.
Yeah.
That's a 16-hour flight.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
To get to
you say fucking hell, but I've done many 16-hour flights in my life because flying from the US to New Zealand is 16 hours. So,
yeah.
But
I'm thinking 16 hours. I'm in like Bangkok, Thailand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and if any city had the money, well, I'd say Cape Town has the money, but Pretoria, those people would have the money to travel too because it's fairly well off. But I don't imagine I'll tell you what you're going to see. If you see any South African fans at the game, at the final, I'm willing to bet you 9 times out of 10 they're expats. Like they live in Ireland now, or they live in the UK.
There will be a lot of expats in Ireland, a lot, and London as well.
Yeah. Because I know when the Sharks played at Glasgow, there were a lot of Sharks fans, including a couple of young ladies that follow me on social media who are all South Africans living in like Scotland or in the UK at general at large. So they show up in full force for those games when they play Edinburgh or Glasgow. They're at those games like big time. So I know it's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a great final. These are the two best teams. These are the two teams that probably have the tools to take each other down, the necessary players. But I think it's also going to come down to, can you stick to your game plan? Can you keep out of trouble? Is discipline going to be an issue? Have they even announced who the referee for the final is going to be yet?
I don't think so. I haven't seen it.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if it's even been announced. They have. It looks like. Well, no. That was last year's. Let's see if it has it announced for this year. Yeah, it has not been announced who the referee will be yet. I'm sure they'll probably announce that in the coming days here, but
so how are you feeling? You feeling? I mean, obviously it's a big challenge, like, but the other the thing I said, like, before yesterday's Leinster game, it was if Glasgow could have rattled Leinster, and just given them a good 10 minutes where Leinster were thinking, oh Christ, we're going backwards here, then they will shit themselves. Like, they have the pedigree of shitting themselves when they're faced with a real challenge, a real challenge. Like, and that wasn't a real challenge yesterday, but the Bulls will have the pedigree to actually, to take them on in the scrum as well, first of all. So it won't be just like a nice handy gallop onto the ball for the Leinster backline. If they're going backwards in the scrum, it's not going to be they won't get easy ball. They won't get quick ball in that way, So I'll be watching that. I'll be watching that part of the game in particular, and I think, if they just keep it simple, play kind of kick, chase, territory kind of game, then anything can happen.
So I think the bigger part of it is I think the main reason I don't want Leinster to win is just because of their fans, to be completely honest with you. Because they're going to act like they just won like the World Cup, and it's going to be like,
oh, stop, sure. Like, I've already heard guys saying we're going to win this one, and that's going to be it. We'll win the double next year. We're already going to not only we're going to win this.
And I think even if they don't win, they're going to say that we're going to win the double next year. Yeah. And it's mostly just because you hate their fucking fan base so much. That's the main reason I don't want Leinster to win, is just because I can't stand their fan base. Like, it's just, God, like look, I've met some annoying rugby fans in my life, and I mean, I don't want to shit on Irish people as a whole, because I don't think they're all like that. But like, damn, Leinster fans are
some of the worst.
They're the worst, man. They're like they think their team is the shit no matter what, and it's like they're not. Like, at the end of the day, they're really not, and that's probably the problem I have the most with it, is that even at the end of the day, they're really not like yeah, you're a great team, but I mean, you don't have the hardware in the last few years to show yourself as a great team, like,
for sure. And like, when you think about it, like, team, when you say last few years, like, it was a different team when they were winning last.
Yeah.
It was a completely different team.
It was Johnny Sexton.
It was Johnny Sexton running the show. All of these guys that are in here now and have been doing great for Ireland they were spring chickens back then. So
yeah, I mean, I have a Leinster follower who's kind of an older gentleman, probably closer to our age, and he'll shoot me messages, and he's like, of course he's a diehard Leinster guy, but he's like, he's the one that lives in reality. He was like, dude, our guys are aging really fast. Like, we're an aging team, and like, I'm the guy that's like, hey, look, like, I'll say this, as much as I bash Ireland, whatever, we need Ireland. Like, the URC, we need Leinster. We need these teams, because it's what makes it such a strong competition.
For sure.
And, like, like, you could take the 2 Italian teams out, we'd be fine. You could probably take the Welsh teams out, we'd be fine. But you can't take the Irish and South African teams out, because the competition wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't exist. Fact.
And I just wish Ireland had a bigger population.
Yeah.
Because then you could kind of carry a bit more weight, But it's like, you only have 4 provincial teams. You only have 4 big sides. You couldn't do a 5th one. I mean, Connacht is barely kind of trudging along.
Yeah.
They're the smallest of the 4. We talked about this the other day. Like, I'm looking at populations by the provinces, and it's like, Connacht is by far the smallest one. Like, by far. And
sure.
you wish you could potentially, because there's always been talk, could Scotland sustain a third team? Probably. Italy couldn't. Could South Africa sustain a fifth team? Yes, easily.
Italy is actually in the process of downsizing to one.
Just to have Benetton?
Yeah.
Well, like, I think that's the difference, too. Benetton is privately owned. I think Zebra Parma, the rugby union, owns that. So it's kind of why Benetton gets all the big names. I mean, you need to have... South Africa is 60-plus million people. New Zealand is 5 million or so, but they have the pedigree for it. It's also like... You've got to have Ireland, because not everybody can watch French rugby.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to watch English rugby, like myself, because
I don't want to watch English rugby
because I fucking hate England. But you've got to have, and I really hope Wales can get back on their feet at some point.
Yeah.
Because you need those countries. You need that to keep the game kind of in a because you can't just lean on South Africa and New Zealand. Like, you can't do that. They're not big enough names in the world globally. Ireland is a big name globally. Like,
yeah.
This is
one thing I'd say. Like, inside Ireland, like, Irish rugby needs Munster to be stronger than what it has been in the last decade. Like, a lot stronger, and while they've made moves, like the IRFU, being totally honest with you, the IRFU have made some bad moves this year, cutting the sevens program, lots of different controversies. Every second week there seems to be a major controversy, but you have to give them a little bit of credit. They brought in a top class coach for Connacht in the shape of what's his name, the guy who used to go Leinster, the ex-Leinster coach, and
it's not Lancaster, is it? No.
Stuart Lancaster,
yeah. That was announced this week. Congrats, because Connacht needs a coach like that. They need something high class to kind of help build those boys. Also, they're renovating their stadium, so you need something marquee to keep guys. I mean, Leinster doesn't have to worry about that with their roster. They've got marquee. They can sell tickets. Connacht needs to sell tickets. It seems like Ulster does well attendance wise. Like, I don't really see them having attendance issues, but I think it's also
they do pretty good. They have other issues up there. Nobody really knows what they are, but kind of they always seem to kind of do well for a while and then collapse in the middle of the season. But that kind of that's the way it goes for them. For us, for Munster, it's extremely important. Like we've I read the other day, Stuart Wilson, who wouldn't be my most reliable guy for New Zealand rugby kind of commentary, is saying that, like, he's claiming McMillan is potentially the best coach in New Zealand and he's leaving the shores. And he was kind of lamenting him in his kind of his little speak on their show. Was it Sky Sports?
I mean, I got my Chiefs kit on. We've talked about Clayton McMillan many times on here. I think he is the perfect fit for Munster. I think he's going to do really great with that. I think it's going to take him some time to get comfortable, but this is a coach that has a lot to prove, and I think Munster is a really good place for him to kind of prove that. Like, he's very, very blue collar, very, good coach, knows how to put the right guys in the right spots, knows how to pick the right guys. And I think with the culture that Munster has, that we've discussed many times on here, he's gonna it might take him a little bit of time to get his ass groove on the couch just right, but like, I think once he gets his ass groove in, he'll be fine. Like, I think the community around the team will be very supportive of him, and I think they'll welcome him with. I mean, they obviously, when you played the All Blacks 15, I know a lot of people that went to that. You guys were like, they were the most welcoming people, like, ever. Like, you saw, if you got on the social media of the guys on the All Blacks 15, dude, they're like eating dinner. Everybody's taking photo. You know what I mean? Like they treated they were very welcoming to the guests. Like, and I'm sure when they do the Argentina 15, those Argentine guys are going to be like, man, it's going to be like being at home. They're going to be totally welcome. It's going to be like, hey, let me buy you a beer at the bar, that kind of thing. Like it's a good community for Clayton McMillan to be walking into. It's, the fans are, I mean, obviously you see them travel from game to game and they wear the jerseys and it's very loud. And I mean, you love watching those games.
I think Clay, I've just been really impressed with what he's done with the Chiefs even this year. You know what I mean? Like it's been, we've known about that he's going to leave for quite a while, and the Chiefs are still putting in good performances. Obviously, they lost the other day, but they're into the semi. Versus was it the Brumbies? Is it?
Yeah, they're playing the Brumbies at home this weekend. That'll be the first of the two semifinals. You'll also have the Crusaders and Blues at the Crusaders. And I think Clayton, he's going to want to go out on top. I do still think the Chiefs win the whole thing. And I think it's going to be Chiefs-Crusaders final. It's going to be a tough game. The Crusaders, who I had picked to finish pretty lowly in Super Rugby, have done really, really well this year. They've bounced back after having their worst season in over 20 years last year. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm still eagerly anticipating. Like, I hate to say it, like I want Super Rugby to end just so we can go ahead and get Clayton relocated to see him at Musgrave, in the community, in the sheds, kind of, because he's going to be a different beast. It's going to be a different thing, but he's going to fit right in. He'll wear the polo shirt. You'll see him, he'll probably have the walkie-talkie in the box, and, it'll be...
I think, just because, a few Leinster fans have been kind of getting onto me there recently saying, is it going to be another big change for Munster? And, I really like, because you talked about, a settling in period for Clay. And I just think like the structure that they have there, which isn't actually changing in terms of personnel, that structure has actually carried them through the season since October without a head coach. And I think they're going to be stable enough to allow the guy to settle in and, maybe carry some weight while he's just he's adjusting to the new atmosphere,
I don't even think it's just this. I think I said it's the culture. I think the culture remains, and I think the culture, at least, like I said, I'm only been a Munster fan for a short amount of time, but having been a Chiefs fan for so many years, I can tell you about the culture in Waikato. I can tell you the culture in Hamilton. And the way it's described to me in Munster is almost exactly the same. Like the community is almost exactly the same. It's kind of a blue collar, very middle class, very middle of the road. It's not like it's not a jet setting city. It's not, Ferraris and Maseratis riding around everywhere. No, it's a lot of people in just, cars and working 9-to-5 jobs, working, either in agriculture or working at, the mill or working in, something related to that.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of accountants and executives, like that does exist, but it's not a metropolitan place. It's not Dublin. Hamilton is not Auckland. Hamilton is a Cork, it's except it does have a river. There is a river, so there's another common thing there. But but it's like I said, the atmosphere, everything that we've talked about, Clayton McMillan is going to fit right in.
It's exciting just to see who's he going to bring with him. We haven't heard much talk about it. We also don't know who's going to be the forwards coach, and it kind of makes me think, is this forwards coach going to come from New Zealand as well? Because we seem to be waiting to announce it, and it sounds like we're waiting to the end of Super Rugby to announce it. But yeah.
What if it's Peter? What if it's Peter?
No, I don't
What if
think
it's
so.
Peter?
No. As a forwards coach, jeez, I thought you were talking about some other Peter I didn't know. No, I don't think. No. It's too soon. Too soon.
You never know, man. You never know. Man, Clayton might have him over to the house. They might do a lamb and potato roast. And he might say, hey, man, think about coaching? Like,
yeah, who knows?
You never know, man. You never know, dude. I mean, stranger things have happened.
That's like what Rassi did. Like, if you remember that particular that show with Felix, it was like Felix was after getting, people were like, oh, is he going to have to retire? Is he not going to retire? And then they were like, they told Rassi, was like, oh, this guy's a bit of a genius. Maybe you should go and chat with him. And he gets offered a coaching job. But yeah.
Yeah. Because Rassi saw something or was told there's something, so he had food with him, and it was like, hey. So in New Zealand, you'd say you're having kai, which is food. You're having a meal with each other.
Cool.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Like I said, I still think that Peter's going to do the Babas game. He's going to go back to Ireland, probably go back to, just trying to be a normal dude for a bit. And then you're going to see him. You're going to see him at a trainings. You're going to see him in the sheds. You're going to see him meeting. Like, a guy like that, Peter O'Many won't walk away. Like,
yeah.
That's it. It's in his bone structure now at this point, man. Like, Peter O'Many is like like Rassi would still be playing if he wasn't old.
Yeah,
like, it's those guys that like they never give up on it.
Yeah,
and I see that in Peter O'Many every time I see him play. That's a guy who's it's in his, like, he lives for rugby. Period.
Yeah, I guess for us, like, because of our history and things that have happened, it's always very, like, when you have a club legend, it's always a risk because that legend can only really diminish. You can add another chapter to it, and that's amazing. But you risk a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Going into the coaching, having been a club legend, because if it doesn't work out, that's
it tarnishes it a bit. It tarnishes
it does. So. It really does, and it adds a lot of pressure. But that's why I think the likes of Ron Lagarda, I don't think he will ever coach Munster.
Just because he doesn't want to tarnish that part of it.
I think he's gone a little bit beyond it as well. But we've seen it. We have an exact, like Axel Foley, like he. God rest his soul, he took it on, and it, like, obviously he passed away, but before that there was a period of time where a lot of people turned on him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't pretty at all. People don't like to talk about that, but that's what happened. People turned on him, and he was a young coach, and the team was quite shit, so it wasn't really his fault, but. So you kind of take a risk when you do things like that. It takes bravery. It takes, like, you just have to be very sure of yourself. So I'm not sure if I would advise the likes of Peter O'Many to do it, but who knows? Anything can happen.
Yeah. One last thing I did want to bring up before we end the show here, kind of going back to Super Rugby, Moana Pacifica this week released 15 of their players. 15. So there's all kinds of rumors afloat what's going to happen with Moana Pacifica. I have a personal belief that I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be the home of guys who have one or two All Blacks caps that never got called up again, who left overseas. They're going to come back and play for Moana Pacifica. You're going to see a lot of ex-All Blacks on that team.
So who got released?
I can't tell you now, but 15 of their players got released.
Yeah, Jesus, I'm looking at it here.
It's not obviously it's not Artie Savea or Julian Savea, but it's a lot of guys that I think that team's about to go through a major revamping. Tano Umaga has an idea. I think Artie Savea was the beginning of that idea. You create a magnet that attracts guys that want to win. And I think you're going to see like Lumape come back and play there. I think if Richie Mo'unga ever decides to come back, that's where he ends up. I think it's going to be the place where ex-All Blacks who went overseas, that's where they end up when they're done. Like, and it's good for the team. It provides a pretty strong structure, you know, for the fan base, that kind of thing. But it is kind of a weird time in rugby because, like, you know, we spent the whole year in Super Rugby claiming that Australia had gotten better. And here we are at the last 4 teams, 3 of them are Kiwi teams. So did Australia really get better? No, I just think Kiwis got worse. I still think you had said it earlier in the show about teams that play really poorly when they're from behind. You watch those Ireland tests against the All Blacks when they beat them. You watch any team that beats the All Blacks. When they're behind, they fall apart. They absolutely fall apart.
The All Blacks, yeah.
They're not used to it. They're not used to it. And I think that
they don't hang in there.
It's an unfortunate culture that does happen in the sport when you see teams that win so much for so often. Leinster is a perfect example. They do not play well from behind.
Not if you put pressure on them, no. It's interesting that, like all these guys that are leaving Moana Pacifica, was this instigated by Umaga himself, or is it? You know,
I have no idea. Like I said, I think a lot of those guys are going to go to Japan or to Europe.
Okay.
They've gotten a bit of a good foundation. Because despite what you'll see, the flags next to those are the countries they represent. A lot of them were still born in New Zealand, and they didn't have the opportunities to get those overseas contracts playing for the rest of. Now they have those opportunities, so they're going to go capture them to help their families.
Of course,
and I think they're going to be replaced with guys that maybe got overlooked. And I mean, if you look at the wider training squad for the All Blacks, there's only like 2 guys from Moana Pacifica that even made it. I think that's going to change. I think Moana Pacifica is going to be, I don't think they're going to be Crusaders level or Blues level or Chiefs level, but they're going to definitely take a step up. You're going to start seeing it looking like a little bit more of a potential, or maybe guys that got 1 or 2 caps 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. It's a way for them to come back and kind of get a little bit of a redemption a bit for it. So it's a good program. It's great for the Pacific Islanders. It's great for the Samoans and the Tongans who don't want to have to go to, and it's not even have to, like, you want to go there. You want to go to France because the contracts are so damn good. Like, you want to play like, Ben Tomafina. There's a reason he plays for Bordeaux. It's because he makes a shitload of money playing for them. Like, he actually, a lot of people, Ben Tomafina plays for Tonga. Ben Tomafina is not from Tonga. He's not from Tonga.
Where's he from?
He has New Zealand U20 caps. Okay. He's from New Zealand. He got overlooked for the All Blacks. That's how he ended up playing for Tonga. The leading scorer in Tonga history, Kurt Morath, lives here in Austin, Texas. Kurt Morath is from New Zealand. He, I've talked to him. He was like, it's a thing. You wait around, you're 16, 17, you're waiting to get called up. You get called up, you get a U20 cap, and then the timer starts. Like, am I going to get called up for the All Blacks? Tana Umanga's brother, also, Tana's from New Zealand, obviously of Samoan heritage. Mike Umanga played for Samoa. He didn't play for New Zealand because you wait around. You wait around hoping to get the call up, because the dream for any Pacific Islander is to be an All Black. But if that doesn't happen for you, you have to, okay, I'm going to go play for my home country or my parents' home country. Like, the leading scorer for Fiji was not born in Fiji. Do you know who the leading scorer for Fiji is?
What's his name? I think I know. Tell me, I think I know the guy's name.
He spent a lot of time in the Premiership. Nicky Little. Nicky Little is the leading Fijian scorer of all time.
Okay, I wouldn't have said that, but fair enough.
Walter Little, his uncle, was an All Black. And Nicky was the same way. You wait around for an All Blacks jersey, and if it doesn't come, you go wherever you know you're going to get capped. And Nicky Little is one of the most hilarious rugby players I've ever seen in my life, as far as interviews go, because he's just a rum and coke and a guitar. That's all he fucking needs. It's just a rum and coke and a guitar. That's all he fucking needs. Like, he's the same way. Like, I waited around, and my uncle was an All Black. That means I should be. And when it was like, maybe not, I went and played for Fiji. So, you get that. Like, well, I mean, shit, isn't there a guy that plays for Ireland that was a Stormer at one point?
Oh, you mean plays for Ireland?
Yeah, hold on.
I was going to say Bulls, and that's obviously Munster player, JK.
Quinn Rue. Yeah. He played for the Stormers. Like, I think he moved to South Africa when he was in like college and played in the Western Province. Yeah. So obviously he never played for the Springboks, but I mean, rugby will take you weird places if you let it. So
I'm looking at this list of players that's getting released here. Sorry, I've been tipping.
Yeah. No.
So Pone Amasili, he's a tight head prop. So I'm just flagging that right now. There's 15 guys. Ooh, up that phone there, Clay. Pick up that phone. If he's any good at all, plenty of money available in Ireland. If he doesn't mind the rain, he'll be fine.
So when the Bunnings tournament starts, or I think it's called it was Mitre 10. I think it might be I don't know who sponsors the provincial competition in New Zealand. I'm definitely a big Waikato Chiefs fan, which is their provincial side, and I'm going to be looking at that because those are guys that definitely have the potential to come over with Clayton, because it's not huge money or whatever. So, but we'll see how that goes. But we'll end this one because I've got to go take my dog to get her nails buffed because she's clickety-clacking around the house. So, hopefully I'll get with Pierre and tell him to pay his sangoma to make him feel better. He'll probably, prescribe him some herbs, some healing herbs.
As long as he doesn't curse the Bulls, that's fine.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. So obviously next weekend we'll have a final to talk about, a grand final. I wish we would start calling stuff that here. Because in America, everything's the Super Bowl or the World Series. It's like, dude, just call it a grand final. I
just hope it's a good show. Do you know what I mean? I hope it's a good show.
I hope it's not a blowout. I hope that the teams go back. We get to see some good rugby on both sides. I just don't want Leinster to win because I don't want to hear it from their goddamn fans.
Look, we're already hearing it. It's as if the thing is won. So yeah,
and it's gonna be real fucked up next year if Munster makes a run and I've got to decide between a South African team and Munster. Because
it's probably going to happen.
I got so much shit from Sharks fans.
Sharks fans, yeah. Sharks and Stormers are kind of we keep meeting these guys, but the Bulls, we have a little bit of shit with the Bulls now, but it's not really beef. It's just
no.
No,
you're right. It's the Sharks and Stormers are the Munster's biggest rival in South Africa. It seems that the Bulls are Leinster's biggest. Leinster, and then I'd say Edinburgh, Glasgow. That's kind of their more beef with them, but. Yeah, so we'll see everybody next week. Thank you, Colin, for jumping on with me as always, man. Loving the setup there. Makes me want to go out and see if I can get me some of them string lights to set my shit up like that too. But you can get those pretty cheap here, on Amazon. Which, speaking of which, no, not on Amazon. I'm not buying shit off of Amazon anymore.
Directly from DHL, bro.
Yeah. But we'll see you guys next week.